welcome to In the Know, a program that helps you to stay well informed. Today, joining me in studio is the Norfolk County Sheriff. That would be Patrick McDermott. Patrick has returned for, I guess we'd call it a July update, and a lot to talk about. But first of all, welcome back. Always
Thank
a
you,
pleasure
as
to
always.
have you.
It's great to be here, as always, and helping us get the word out about some of the things we're doing at the Sheriff's Office and some of the things that we see as part of the issues that are going on around Norfolk County.
First, I'd like to ask, because it's been kind of a challenging summer weather-wise, and I know you have the Leadership Academy. You are currently finishing it up, I believe, in Norfolk County. I'm sorry, in Braintree.
Correct.
But then you will be moving it for 1 week to Franklin.
Right.
Talk about it so far.
So far it's been, and it always is an overwhelming success. The kids are great. We're about 85% capacity, as we weren't quite sure how we were going to reopen, in the post-COVID era, so to speak. And so by the time we were able to get the regulations from the Department of Public Health, we had already put in place, some limited access to the academy. But we were able to open up a little bit more to get us about 85%. Weather hasn't cooperated that greatly for us. Obviously July is, I think, either the second or third most rain. So that's put a damper on things a little bit, but the kids are resilient. We have access under the tents, and there's plenty of opportunities for them during the weekend. They've all got the chance to go up on our ropes course and participate in some of the fun activities that we have planned for them. But it's been a really great experience for the kids. Not just those that attend the academy itself, but for the high school kids that we have mentoring the younger ones, as well as our paid interns that come in and actually do the leadership camp for the kids. It's really a remarkable experience. I mean, we have a limited number of adults that actually teach. It's mostly the peer leaders that get in there and work with the kids, and they develop friendship, team building, leadership skills, and I get to go on Friday and serve them pizza and give out T-shirts and certificates. So
be the hero.
Be the hero and meet the parents. And the feedback that we get is that this is a long-awaited thing every year. They look all winter long to get signed up their kids, and I can't take the credit because this is something I inherited from past sheriffs, and certainly I give credit to Sheriff Bellotti for putting this in place. And we are expanding it. So it's one thing I hear when I went out around the county is that it's only offered in Braintree. And what about us folks down in Franklin, Bellingham, Rentham, Foxborough? And so we are going to do a pilot program this summer down in Franklin in August. We've got the curriculum ready to go down there. I think we have a partnership with a ropes course that we're going to be able to have a similar experience for the kids. That is sold out, so don't chime in and look for a spot. But we're hoping with the success of that to see an expansion next summer so that we have a full camp down in southern Norfolk County.
And we should mention that youth can be involved all year.
Correct. Yeah, this is like our signature moment is during the summer, but we have the courses open and the peer-to-peer relationships are open up throughout the year for school groups, Boys and Girl Scout troops, folks from the YMCA, whoever might be interested in coming down and using our facilities in Braintree. We are open to that. So we're looking forward to reaching out to our local school districts and seeing what interest there might be for a day trip, even weekend encounter, whatever the case might be. So we're excited about opening that campus up to the residents of Norfolk County when they need it. You
had begun and were describing the change in the camp this year because of COVID. So let's talk about COVID and numbers at the facility. So we've been blessed. We jumped on COVID early on. As soon as I got into office in January, we had a little bit of an outbreak early on in February, which we were able to contain. And as soon as the vaccine rollout became something that we could get going, we were one of the first in line in the correctional office to get the vaccine into our facility. And we made sure that our judicial involved individuals that are doing their time at Norfolk were educated to the point where the value of having the vaccine and the safety that it provides for them. We brought panelists in. So we're actually a little around 60%, a little over 60% of our inmates are vaccinated, and we're hoping to get more as advocacy gets in and as the news about the variant is kind of trickling in to the facility now. Fortunately, there
There is no cases of COVID-19 in the facility as of today. I wish I had something wooden to knock on. But we're hoping that that continues. But we're staying vigilant about it. And we have a top-notch medical team that is constantly monitoring both our population as well as our staff to make sure that we stay safe in that facility. So no cases as of right now, and we hope to continue that trend going forward.
And talk about the trial court backlog, because that has just reopened recently, I believe the 15th.
The trial court just recently reopened, and most of our, we have about a little over 330, give or take, inmates in the facility. The vast majority of our population are what's known as pretrial detainees. So they haven't been convicted yet of a crime. They're waiting for trial. Some of them have served over a year since COVID has come in and since the trial court shut down. So many of these individuals have anxiously awaited to have their day in court. So we're kind of beefing up our transportation now as courts are actually having in-person hearings, because we have had Zoom hearings, and from a technological point of view, we've been able to continue some of the due process issues for the inmates. However, trials that are necessary to either prove the guilt or innocence of a defendant have been on hold. So we need to actually get that rolling again. The trial court has that backlog. We're hoping that and I have full trust, and I know all of our first justices around the county and all the clerk magistrates, so I know that they're working tirelessly to get those numbers back into the court and hopefully get those hearings done. And we'll see how our population shifts. We have a small population of sentenced inmates, and those folks who are held pretrial now, who are going back to the courthouse, they may or may not come back in as a sentenced inmate at some point. But we're hoping to get some more stability and get a little bit more of a solid foundation of what our numbers really are in Norfolk County. So,
one of the things that I guess has reared its ugly head, it has to do with scams and people posing as members of or employees of the sheriff's department.
There are numerous scams that are out there. I mean, those of us that always knew about the email scams that people would get about, the king of Nigeria looking for, send money over and they'll wire something back for you. We have a very localized scam going on. It's by telephone. People are identifying themselves as law enforcement and specifically calling on behalf of the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office, asking people for money, and for various reasons, whether it's for, your grandson is now in jail and he needs, we need $10,000 for bail money, or other things of, we have a warrant for your arrest and therefore we're coming to get you unless you post a certain amount of money. I just want to let the public know, whether it's the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office or local law enforcement, no one is going to call you on the phone and solicit you for money under those circumstances. It's not going to happen. You should immediately contact local law enforcement. Certainly don't do anything that they're asking you to do. And there's various forms of this. Sometimes it's a cash payment. Other ways it's Venmo. They're getting technologically savvy. Sometimes they make you go out and buy iTunes cards at the local, or gift cards at the local supermarkets, and have you read over the serial numbers, and they take your money that way. So they're getting very crafty with their scams, but people just need to be vigilant about it. Don't trust it. Immediately contact your local law enforcement and then report it that way.
I'd like to, before we leave this particular portion of the program, we're obviously talking about COVID. That's overshadowed a bit the opioid crisis, the
Yes.
opioid epidemic. So talk about that, because numbers have increased.
The numbers, and it has. It's COVID certainly grabbed all the headlines over the last 16 months or so, and but sadly forgotten, unfortunately, during the pandemic has been the opioid crisis, and numbers have gone up a lot over the last year, and those people those victims have not been serviced accordingly. So we see it in our population, certainly as folks have come into the facility with addiction issues. We've seen overdoses creep up around Norfolk County, around the Commonwealth, around the country. We need to get back in touch with that, and certainly we've recongregated our substance abuse task force, which specifically talks to juveniles about substance abuse issues. But we're also recognizing the fact that we need to be involved directly with some of our community partners. I think there's been a lot of resources that have been developed over the course of the last several years on the opioid crisis. And the Sheriff's Office wants to be back in touch with those people, to get involved with those committees, get involved with some cures for this, some help, some treatment issues. And even in our limited capacity of helping those that are justice involved individuals, we're looking to help those folks as they re-enter the community so that they don't become a statistic once again. We're going to be helping them with identifying treatment centers, mentors, that they can help them address their addiction issues and hopefully not relapse or recidivate in the criminal justice system.
So would you say it's basically an expansion of existing programs?
Yeah, we have a limited program out of Quincy, our community corrections program, that's a partnership with the probation department, and that's right now limited. It is limited to justice involved individuals. And I just took a tour out in Hampden County, which is out in Springfield, and Sheriff Nick Kochi and his staff have done a great job. They have a center right in Springfield, and it's open to all the public, and it's run by the Sheriff's Office, and it's a cornucopia of services that's offered to everybody. A big issue is substance abuse treatment and wellness programs, housing searches, job searches, and it's open to the public. It's open to anybody that's in crisis. So I'm looking to do something similar to that, but like everything else, it comes down to money, personnel. We'll find a way to do it, but I think that's a great model for us to kind of steal and duplicate from. So we're going to look to our friends in Hampden for that help.
Let's talk about today's topic, I suppose, or the bulk of the program today is going to basically focus on ways to stay safe during the summer.
Absolutely. So, as sheriff, as when I campaigned for sheriff, I wanted to reimagine how we look at public safety issues around the county, and that we were not just a law enforcement agency, we weren't just a jail, we actually are very involved in making sure that residents feel safe from all kinds of issues. And certainly summertime has given us pause, certainly with issues in the news relative to some tragedies that have gone on, whether it's drownings around the county and around the Commonwealth, fire safety issues, heat in cars. All these issues come up every year. So I just wanted to give a pause to say that from a public safety point of view, we should address some of these issues and give residents a pause to think, because all it takes in any one of these instances is an instant that we aren't paying attention and being vigilant, and tragedies do unfold, sadly. And there's a lot of ways we can prevent things from happening.
Certainly, you had mentioned drownings, which leads me, and again, there have been almost every week in the news you hear, unfortunately, of a fatality.
In Norfolk County, you say, well, what's the water issues? I mean, certainly pools are all over the place, but a lot of the tragedies come in, the lakes and the ponds, and we have over 100 lakes and ponds around Norfolk County, and not to mention the vast miles of coastline that we have, Quincy, Weymouth, Braintree, Cohasset, the riverways that we have, and certainly this time of the year, mostly young folks are looking for cooling off opportunities, and they're a lot braver than I am in terms of jumping off bridges and swinging off of trees and everything. So
I don't do that anymore.
Back in the day, it was one of those things. Back in the day, not that I ever went up, but our quarries were known for tragedies that unfolded up there.
Unfortunately.
But it's important to enjoy water safety and know our limits as to where those things are. And what I want to focus on, two things obviously, is one, the value of swimming lessons. I mean, luckily I grew up, my grandparents on Ocean Street had a pool in their backyard, and my grandmother, my grandfather, and my great aunts, all great swimmers. They taught all of us kids how to swim in my grandfather's pool, which was great. But not everybody has that luxury. So we need to look towards, I always encourage, get your kids swimming lessons as early as a few months in. Get them exposed to water. Babies are actually pretty resilient. I have a friend of mine who has a 2-year-old who gave his daughter water safety lessons. And she's a full swimmer now. At 2 years old, she knows how to flip on her back, and she knows that the training that she has is go to the edge of the pool. So it can't be emphasized enough about getting swimming lessons for your kids.
We should mention that a big problem is fear, is panic in the water.
Exactly. And especially, if you don't know how to swim, I can't imagine what it's like not to know how to swim, because at the end of the day, you tread water, you float on your back, you're able to survive. But if you panic, you can go under very quickly. And that's some of the tragedies, including the Worcester police officer who lost his life out there. The teenager he was going after did not swim, panicked, apparently went under, and he was trying to do the same thing, and sadly he tragically lost his life as well. So it's a real serious issue that panic can unfold, and you can go under the water very quickly. And certainly these ponds and the lakes, it's one thing with a pool because you have a better visibility with a pool if people are staying vigilant, but pond and a lake, a lot of them are murky, and so you really got to be vigilant. At the end of the day, if you don't know how to swim, wear a life jacket. Very simple. It might not be the most attractive thing in the world, but it can save your life.
But we should mention that, back in our childhood, it was those bright orange flotation jackets, which they've changed.
They're cool now. You can actually wear a
Absolutely.
pretty cool outfit, and that keeps you afloat. And it's one of those extra safety things. And get some swim lessons. And we have a great, here in Quincy, and I know throughout the country, there's the YMCA's, there's local recreation programs that sponsor swim lessons for kids. So get your kid involved. And if as an adult, if you need to learn how to swim, don't be ashamed of it. Get out there and learn, so you can enjoy some of the resources that we have around the county, and you can stay safe. So.
Absolutely. My son, who's now 17, one of the first things that we had him do, or we signed him up for, was swim lessons at the Y, at the local Y.
That's where my kids went. We had the Y, and we had Lincoln Hancock Pool, and
right.
But it's important. And but God forbid, if a tragedy does unfold, that's when your first aid, your first responder CPR training comes in, and. We, as parents, we sometimes we hear that from our pediatricians. You should probably take a CPR course. And fortunately, my wife and I did that when I think our daughter had either just been born or when Tracy was still pregnant. And I remember taking it right here in Quincy. There was the Red Cross was running a CPR class, and so we took it, and a little first responder, how to deal with burns and a few other things. And that training is so intense, you never know when you're going to need it. And fast forward 18 years later, tragic moment for myself is my daughter had she had a seizure last summer during the pandemic. It was a very hot day. It was hot in the house. She hadn't eaten. She hadn't had anything to drink. And she stopped breathing. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and immediately just went. The instincts take over. That training is so intense that you see the blueness coming into the face, you immediately jump into action. And so I was able, my son called 911, which was great. He participated to make sure his sister was going to be safe. I initiated CPR. We got her back within a minute or so, and no sooner did she come back then the fire department came in and took her to Children's Hospital. Thank God I knew CPR, because otherwise I would have panicked. We would have been just helpless, waiting for first responders to come to our rescue. And I thank God my daughter's fine, which is great. But,
never
it hits you personal.
Right, and never say it can't happen to you.
Correct, it will. And you know what? Not only did it happen to me personally there, but just recently over at the 4th of July parade in Squantum. As we were finishing the parade, one of the float drivers, as he was pulling into the back of Squantum School, went into cardiac arrest. And it was right next to where we were. We had just got off our float, and the truck was a little bit erratic, and something was going up. We saw that the individual was slumped over. One of my staff actually jumped on, but thank God we had right in front of us with members of the Boston Fire Gaelic group that were marching in the parade. So we had 25, 30 firefighters that were right there. They immediately helped out, jumped into the scene, got the man out. He was down for about 5 minutes. We were waiting, it didn't look good. And they kept those chest compressions going. They got the defibrillator out, and they were able to bring him back. And he actually woke up, and what was going on? What's going on? What's happening? So, but it's those instantaneous decisions that if with the right training, you're ready to be poised and you're ready to jump in and act. And whether it's somebody that has a tragic moment in a pool or a lake or water structure, or it's simply a cardiac arrest, that episode could happen at any minute. And part of that CPR training and first responder stuff is things like the Heimlich maneuver. We're going to be at backyard barbecues. We're going to be out at restaurants. You never know when you're going to need to initiate those particular maneuvers. And sadly, not everybody knows how to do this stuff. And so you might be the person that is called upon to save a life, and you just need to be ready for it. So I encourage everybody to do that. There's plenty of first aid and CPR courses that are offered. We're blessed at the Sheriff's Office, because we have to train our staff on first response and CPR, that we have certified trainers. And so because of the value I see in this, and it's hit me personally, professionally, we're going to be putting together a program for county residents, and we're going to utilize the talents that we have on staff to bring those trainings out to various communities, just to make sure that at least we're doing our part. Now we need the residents to do their part by signing up, whether it's through our program that we'll launch probably in the fall, or contact their local health department. Most of the time, the local health department will have a listing of CPR trainings that are usually sponsored by the Red Cross. But get trained. It's just you can save a life, and there's no greater feeling than be able to say that you saved somebody's life. And for me, who knows? Maybe my daughter would have been able to revive on her own.
But you don't
But
know.
I just don't know. And I thank God that I was in the right place at the right time with the training.
Absolutely. Let's talk about hot cars. And folks may not realize how hot the inside of a car can get on a summer day.
It's amazing that once again, it's a quick short-sightedness that causes things to happen. So when it's 80 degrees outside, as today, it's 80 degrees right now, 82 or something like that. Inside a car can heat up to over 90 degrees on an 80-degree day in less than 10 minutes. So very quickly, a car can overheat. In 20 minutes, that degree goes up over 100 degrees. So when you're in that kind of intense heat, your body will start shutting down. And I know it a little bit more personally as well, because I just traveled out to Phoenix, Arizona for a conference, and it was 117 degrees outside. Doesn't even have to be in it. God forbid you're in a car. But the sheriff's office out there was at our hotel. It was a sheriff's conference, and they had promotional material all over the place about hot cars, about even just walking around in temperatures like that, proper hydration. But on a hot car scenario, you as a citizen, we all have an obligation to take care of our fellow man and woman, and child or pet for that matter. And oftentimes it's a pet that's left behind. And pets have a similar system as we do. They will overheat rapidly and will go into a cardiac arrest scenario. And God forbid you leave a child in a car that overheats, and that tragedy unfolds every year. So your obligation as a citizen is even if you don't have any training, 911 immediately. Don't wait. If you see something, say something. And even a window cracked isn't good enough. That shouldn't happen. In fact, there are laws in the books that preclude those things from happening. And so, very minimum, call 911. If you have to initiate a breaking of a window, try your best to do that. Be careful yourself when you do something like that. But certainly the 911 call, and get first responders on hand immediately. And hot cars can be deadly.
Absolutely. We do have a couple of photographs to share with folks welcoming the newest class of recruits.
Very proud of 17 new corrections officers in Norfolk County. I'm proud to say it's the most diverse group of cadets that we put forth as corrections officers. They endured a rigorous process, 10-week academy plus background checks and psychological evaluations, and I'm very proud of what we did. And we were very happy and thankful that Gillette Stadium hosted us down in Foxborough. The Patriots organization and the Kraft family were fantastic. They gave us access to the field, and as this picture highlights, they put the sheriff's badge right up there on the jumbotron. It was a great night for family and friends, and certainly for our newest officers. And as I said, the party was over because their first day on the job was the 4th of July.
Very good. And I think here's the last photo. Is this some of the promoted sergeants?
Yeah, we haven't had promotions in the sheriff's office for a number of years. So this is the first time we kind of reorganized our command staff, and we interviewed numerous groups of our COs, and our 8 sergeants, or 7 are pictured there, and we had 1 sergeant who couldn't make it because he was at his rehearsal dinner. He was getting married, so we actually sent the paperwork to his rehearsal dinner, and I think his dad initiated the ceremony for him. So it was kind of cool at his rehearsal dinner.
He was included too. Yes.
Exactly. It wasn't always about the bride.
Well, I better be careful.
You got to be
with that.
He'll take care of that. So
I do want to mention, in light of safety, I do want to mention that Are You OK program, and
Absolutely.
encouraging folks to sign up for this free program.
Yeah, the Are You OK program, as I say, is great for anybody that is a shut-in, maybe doesn't have family members to check in, or even has family members to check in. I remember when my dad was alive, I didn't check in with him every day. This is a program that guarantees somebody will check in with a senior every single day at their designated time. It's an automated phone system. It requires an automated feedback. And when we don't get a response back at the sheriff's office, a deputy sheriff, Cheryl Bambry, initiates an immediate phone call to get personal contact. And if we can't get a hold of the individual, then we initiate that first responder call to make sure that individual gets the care and attention that they need. And we've had 4 saves this year so far, and we're very happy with that program. So we want people to certainly sign up on the Are You OK line. It's located right underneath us here. We want more members on that group. We have about 300 people that are signed up. We should have 3,000 people signed up, even just a peace of mind. And it's a voluntary sign up. It can be a permanent sign up or a temporary one. If you're going out of town and you're going to Cancun for the week, and your elderly parent is going to be home by themselves, we'll take care of that response. And so we urge anybody to sign up that program.
I should also mention, in the moments that we have left, the Yellow Dot program. That's also a safety program. Yeah,
we're retooling it a little bit, and we have to get our marketing pieces back in place. But the Yellow Dot program is something that is great for anybody that's out driving. It's generally for anybody. It's marketed towards seniors, but to me, the value is for anybody that might have a medical condition or might be have medications that they're on. So it affixes a yellow dot to your windshield, or to your rear windshield, or front, wherever. First responders are trained, so we're going to go back out and talk to police and ambulance and fire about the advocacy for that program. But it basically tells first responders that there is a file in the glove compartment that has all the emergency contact information, as well as any medications that the individual is on. So that's those moments after a medical episode in a motor vehicle specifically could be a life and death situation. And if there's medication that's listed on there, the first responder can go into a pocketbook or someplace to find that medication to see if that's what they need.
And we should also mention that there is a home component as well, a file that folks can affix onto maybe their fridge.
Yes, exactly. It's called the File for Life, and the File for Life program is the same concept, but it's when a first responder comes in, or it could even be a babysitter for that matter. It doesn't necessarily, but somebody, that File for Life will have all of your emergency contacts as well as medication that you have, and that saves lives, especially when firefighters or first responders, ambulance come into the house. They immediately are trained to look to see whether or not there's any indicators on the refrigerator, which is it's a magnet on there. So grab that file. First responders can act accordingly, and it is a life-saving tool.
Well, Sheriff, again, a well put together program, a lot of information out there for folks, and we certainly encourage you to come back to Quincy Access Television and share this program with Norfolk County.
Yep, we're rolling out a lot of new programs this fall, and I'm looking forward to announcing them here on QATV.
Great, very good. Thank you for taking the invite. And thank you at home for watching. Please continue to watch Local Access TV for more community-centered information.